Korea escape games are next level. In this episode, we are going to be talking about the most next level, futuristic, unique escape games in Korea. And what's cool is that international students actually do these Korean escape games a lot. That just shows how popular these escape games are and how different they are around the world. And especially in the US, it's completely different from what it looks like in Korea. Basically, I'm going to be talking about all the different escape game companies in Korea that put out all these amazing escape games that are incredibly fun, sometimes really horror, and sometimes really magical and very different from your typical escape game. The first place is Sign Escape. This place is incredibly top tier. So typically you have an escape game and they'd usually have a couple rooms or so with some decent interior and, you know, maybe really hard or really easy clues. But this place, and literally every game on this episode that I'm going to be talking about today, is large, and they have the most amazing interior. You will literally say, wow, when you see this place, and you go into each room after you unlock each thing. It's basically a museum. It's not an escape game at this point, but obviously you're doing your clues and hints and whatnot and lock. But the interior and the design in each place here is incredible. For example, at this place, Sign Escape, there are full-on landscapes. There are rooms, there are at least 10 rooms in each game, and you can just imagine how astounding that is, especially when you see, so basically, escape games are usually in an office building. That's where most regular shops and companies are. But when you see, the escape game and you enter, it doesn't look or feel big at all. But when you enter that room, your mind is completely blown. At Sign Escape, there were literal houses in the room and grass, landscapes, rocks, water. I remember there was a river and you had to boat across the river to get to a place. This is probably the most #1 escape game in Korea. And the special thing about this Sign Escape is that all the escape games here are absolutely no horror. Typically in escape games you'd see horror, creepy music, ghosts, zombies, witches and witchcraft and whatever. But here it's very different in that way and unique. And especially if you are scared of horror or you don't really like horror, this is so awesome. It's I like to think of it as a theme park instead of a haunted mansion. Because personally, I don't like horror escape games. But Sign Escape have things like magic and hills and landscapes, and there was one about a student graduating and you're following them on that journey in each different room. So this is definitely the top #1 escape game in Korea, at least that I know of and that I've experienced. So I definitely recommend that you do this immediately if you go to Korea. You will never regret it. Next up is this escape game place called Point 9. Basically, they have an entire city town hall with shops and buildings, and the roads are cobblestone streets, and they even have street lamps, and it's all in this office building basement, and it's so cool how they construct this. It literally looks like a movie set. I'm not joking. It's kind of like you're walking through a Sherlock Holmes, England, London type place. And I think the setting actually is London. And warning, there is a lot of walking and running around. And especially in the last one, in Sign Escape, there is a lot of walking and running and climbing and jumping and whatever, all of that. There's a lot of motion, which makes the experience so much more memorable. Again, back to Point 9. This place is an entire movie set. Think of a nice London rainy weather type setting with the buildings and the cobblestone streets and street lamps. It has all of that. And the shops are actually real too. You can go inside them. It kind of reminds me of this place that I went to in 4th grade. We had a little it's called BizTown, and it's where you experience all these jobs and your teacher actually assigns you a job. You can either be CEO, CFO, sales manager, advertising manager, and you basically work there for the whole day and you experience what a job is like. They have real buildings and everything. I don't even know if that made sense, but this place is exactly like that. And a very unique thing that probably this place only does is that this is a system where other people are actually working in different rooms of this London place on a different escape game. So you're never really going to meet with them or collaborate with them, but you probably will be seeing them when you're, running and walking around the street and going to different shops and places to escape, essentially. And you can be like, hey. Next we have The Sign. Sounds similar to Sign Escape, but they are completely different. The Sign has a lot of escape game options. They have a mix of horror. So if you like horror, this is definitely the most horrorful place that I've been to. And they also have games that are fun and kind of like the other ones. For example, they have a little bakery escape game. And for horror, they have this thing called The Gate. If you don't even like horror like a little bit, don't go here because you can probably tell by the name The Gate. It is very large and expansive. And I think it's their most popular escape game as well because it's so scary and terrifying. Basically, you're in this place for 1 hour. It's a tunnel system. It's pitch black. There's horror music in the background. I think it's a sewage system, and so you're traveling your way into the sewage system with a flashlight in hand, and you have that sense that always someone behind you is walking and lurking behind you, watching your every move. So I was completely terrified when I was doing this, and I kid you not, I literally started crying halfway through because I just hated it so much and it was so scary. Definitely do not do this alone. It's like watching a horror movie, but you're in the horror movie. But of course, if you love horror and you enjoy horror, because I know some people do, this is like the most perfect place for you. Moving on, we have this place called Catch Signal. This place is not really that memorable, seeing that I don't remember any of the games that I did there, but I did quite a few there, so I guess that means it was quite good at the time. But of course, it's not as good as Sign Escape or Point 9 or, all the ones that I said earlier. But it's still definitely memorable and worthy. The last escape game place is very unique. So basically, we have your typical cinema, right? In Korea, it's called CGV, or the company's called CGV, kind of like in America, it's like IMAX or AMC, but this place is called CGV, Cinema Escape Game. So at your typical CGV in the mall, there's an escape game where you walk or run around the actual movie theater for all the clues. So they're like hidden rooms and things in the movie theater area. So for example, there's like a room next to like the popcorn booth, or there's a clue written on the stairs of the theater entrance or whatever. And I remember it was so interesting because I've never experienced a real life escape game. And of course, there are like actual escape game rooms that are in the theater created for the escape game. But there's also clues where you have to walk around the actual movie theater and find those clues that are maybe hidden in the walls or written on like a poster. And it's a very different experience, and I know that it's quite memorable. Another nice thing that Korean escape games do is that you can actually get a discount for your next game after you just completed the one. I mean, obviously it's like a marketing strategy, but it's nice to get a little discount for your next escape game. Korean escape games also provide a little photo booth, and I'm pretty sure this is with every Korean escape game. They provide a little photo booth, and then they print a Polaroid photo of you and your team and your time number for free. So it's a little souvenir memory so that obviously you can come again. Another marketing strategy, but it's a very nice keepsake memory as well. Thank you for listening in on the Next Level Escape Games in Korea. I hope you found a lot of interesting information and your next escape game adventure in Korea. My next episode will be out very, very soon, so I will see you guys until then. Thank you. Bye!